If you're living in extenuating circumstances, if you have, for example, chronic pain, chronic illness, if you're in a abusive situation, and you're a child, you can't just leave, and then later, when you do get out of it, you're scarred from that. So those things come up, you got to deal with that. Or if you're living in a war zone somewhere, or famine, you don't know how you're going to eat that day. It's all kinds of things like that. Or mentally and emotionally, your mental emotional bodies, maybe they're a little imbalanced because of karma. Your nervous system is not functioning right, which can cause a whole slew of symptoms that can make your experience in this form a living hell a lot of times. Or your higher self, before it incarnated into this plane of existence, it might have chose, instead of spreading out a bunch of lessons over a period of lifetimes, something made a higher choice and said, you know what, I want to concentrate all this in this life. And then your higher friends or teachers up there are like, you sure you want to do that? No, I'm good, man. I mean, I'm the self. Like, you can't, no matter how much pain and suffering there is, can't touch. I mean, I'm formless. Can't touch self. And your friends are like, yeah, it's easy to know that up here on this plane, but how about when you're down there? You got a physical body, an emotional body, a mental body. You got amnesia. You can't remember anything. You don't remember. You think this is who you are and where you're from. No, I got this, man. Really, like, I'll be good. All right. We'll see you when you get back. Could be that. So your life is going to be intense. It's going to be one thing after another. It just seems like it don't stop, Because when you start to really, your highest goal is to wake up and to realize the truth and to not act out these lower habitual patterns that come from the ego mind and just karma. When you choose like to be conscious and not just be a victim, just to be a robot to that anymore, you're embarking on the most intense detox there is, more intense than dry fasting. That's the most intense detox on a physical level. But when you embark on the pursuit of truth in a really authentic way, and you're willing to look at everything, all the subtle little things, you're not hiding behind the concept of I'm a non-dual awakened person now, and so nothing really exists, and there's nothing to look at because, like, what am I looking at? I don't exist to look at something that don't exist. When you're not playing that whole game, and you're like willing to let this karmic individual self be purified, yeah, hold on. Yeah, it's gonna get a little messy. That's an understatement. And a lot of you already know this. And so you have to understand, see, this is where it gets challenging, because this isn't talked about a lot, which is probably why I feel moved to talk about it. Somehow, the universe wants to make balance a little bit, because I know that there's people that this message needs to be heard. Not by a lot, though, I don't think. People don't want to hear. Your average person that thinks they're awake, they don't want to hear anything except I'm awake, basically. I was talking to somebody. What was I saying though? I don't know. I don't want to waste time trying to think. Sometimes when I let go and surrender, it comes to me. But now that I've said that, maybe I jinxed it. Maybe it won't come now. See, I'm cool either way. It can come or not come. But now, what was I even talking about before that? Okay. Don't let your mind or other people's mind try to convince you directly or indirectly, that there's something wrong with you because you're experiencing a strong sense of emotional upheaval, for example. This is what it is. Growth, spiritual growth is messy. It's messy. The purification's messy. You don't just you you have a situation. You know, I watch. I like Muji, I do. But when it comes to people, for example, and it's not a criticism at all. It's just a very clear observation. When it comes to, and there's a lot of, there's so much of this going on. So I can use anybody actually. So I'm not picking on him, but when somebody would come up to the podium who had any kind of true mental health disorder, or if they're taking heavy medications or something, they're not medications, pharmaceutical drugs. If they're taking that stuff and they're struggling, I've never seen them help. I've never seen the people walk away with any sense of relief. You can't apply non-dual pointings or self-inquiry to certain things and then expect it just dissipates. It just doesn't work. There's no loophole. These spiritual practices, they're awesome, they're great, and they help the consciousness awaken to itself, but it's not a get out of jail free card. Sometimes we got to be in jail for a little bit. Jail meaning there needs to be some suffering. The suffering is what's burning up the resistance that we have to surrender. This is why the suffering, it's grace. I like when Muji says it's acid grace. That's what it feels like, but it's grace. You can't just will that away. And there's nothing wrong with you. This is the main point. There's nothing wrong with you if you're experiencing that. Doesn't mean you're not spiritual. This is a huge realization you need to have, because the ego hides out in this misnomer and tells you, usually in a staticky kind of, it doesn't speak it in words sometimes. It's more like just a subtle tendency. See, those are the hardest to catch out. That's subconscious now. Now we're getting into subconscious. So your subconscious is run by tendencies, by inner feelings. They're not vivified. A conscious mind is more thoughts, it's more shapes, it's more, there's some shape to it. It's easier to see. Subconscious isn't. It's more by tendencies. So there's a tendency that people have that, who are authentically on the spiritual path, where the ego makes it like feel, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm suffering. Like, I shouldn't be suffering though. I'm spiritual. I know all the lingo. Why am I suffering? Like, I know I don't exist. I know these feelings don't exist. I know these limitations don't exist, but yet I'm suffering them. Why can't I just non-dual the suffering away? I know it don't exist. Okay, I know it don't exist. God damn, I still am suffering. This is part of the deal. This is part of the deal. So somebody that doesn't know that, who pretends to be awake, who doesn't acknowledge that, run away. Like, you don't have to run, but I wouldn't advise you listening to those people, because they're not going to help you. At the same time, if you feel moved to listen, go ahead. Somehow they're helping you. They may be helping you to see later that they're not helping you. Could be that. You want to hear a balanced message. A balanced message is one that acknowledges the human self, ego, individual consciousness is going to experience suffering in the process of being fused with the non-dual universal consciousness. That's the game. Universal consciousness isn't suffering. The individual self is suffering. Well, if I know I'm the universal self, then why do I still feel like I'm suffering? Because there's always going to be some identity with the individual self. That's part of the deal. If there was no sense of an individual self, there'd be no sense of a universal self. This is why that video I made, I feel is important before, the paradox of duality, non-duality. They're the same. The universal self is the individual self. So there's going to be some suffering as we're working through things, as we're becoming more purified and more fused with our true nature. This letting go, this burning of karma is going to translate into a sense of like suffering or not feeling so good. That's part of the process. Rejoice. There's nothing you can do about that, especially if you know you're doing everything you can do and you're trying the best you can, but yet the suffering's still there. What are you going to do? You have to accept that. Bring acceptance and surrender into your suffering. It's not going to last. And when you got to go through things. You can't go around it. You can't use a non-dual shortcut. I'm going to go around it. Nothing exists. Life's going to get... Those people don't escape, by the way. Life gets you at some point. You're going to be forced to look at this stuff. You're on borrowed time when you do that. I used to do it. I know. So hopefully that was a little inspirational message for you to keep going and to realize that this isn't... that this is normal, number one, and number two, it doesn't last. Sometimes it's not about, I got to talk to the right person or do the right thing or the right technique. I got to hold my finger. I need to change this mudra. Oh no, maybe. No, there's no secret. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. This is what it is. This is what it is. Just take a break. Just chill. Go to the beach or out in the woods somewhere. Bring mosquito repellent if you're out here. And you let life just do its thing. Go through this churning process. That's what's happening. It's alchemy. You're experiencing it. You're the alchemy, and you're also beyond the alchemy. That's my other channel. For those who want to see the guys out there that having trouble preserving your sexual energy, go see Beyond the Alchemy. I talk about that. That's a fun channel. I get some good comments on there. Get good comments here too. All right. Have a good day.